So the marketing scorecard was trying to harness their personalities, their energy into something that would motivate them. And I feel like, listening to other people's ideas about, well, we have, a taco truck out for the best marketing teams every quarter, or they get to go on a shopping spree, or whatever ideas there were. I felt like I wanted to consolidate that into this scorecard where I would create some energy and people could shine as bright as they wanted to.
Welcome to Great Practice, Great Life by Atticus Incorporated. What if you could hang out with successful small and solo law firm attorneys, ask them about their successes and failures, their business strategies and mindset habits, then take an insight or two to guide your own growth in your practice? Each week, Steve Riley shares an in-depth look at how to work less while maintaining high client service standards, reduce your stress levels while growing your income, and find time to make changes when you are time-starved. Steve is a lawyer coach for more than 20 years and a former trial attorney. His goal is to provide strategies to help you balance your lives and grow your practice. Now, here's Steve.
Hey, Steve Riley. Welcome to another episode of Great Practice, Great Life. And today I have attorney Michael Maddux with me. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you, Steve.
It's great to see you, but I don't think you're doing so great. You and I were just talking for a minute. It's been a heck of a Monday, hasn't it?
It has been one of those ground you down Mondays. Like it's 4 o'clock and we're talking, and I'm wondering, what was I doing again this morning?
Yeah, what was I doing? I filled out my Great Life Planner. I had a great plan for the day. You did 3 client intakes, and you are whooped. And here you are with me.
Oh, and I had a marketing lunch too, where the place had an hour wait. So we did a marketing meeting on the street, on the sidewalk with the rep, and it went great because she realized that we didn't have to eat lunch to market one another.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So the point of the story, and it's for those of you that are with the audience, Michael's had a long day, and he's here to help you grow your great practice. So we appreciate it. We really, really appreciate it, because when people like you, part of our community, after having a long day, pick up and get back in the game as quickly as they can to help each other. So I really appreciate it. And just want to say thanks for being here. I know it's like to have those days. Been there, done that, and I'm grateful for you being here. So let's talk a little bit about your practice, and we'll talk about this really cool marketing scorecard that you've created. So tell everybody a little bit about your practice, where you practice, what your favorite type of case is, what you like to do, so they can get a sense of who you are and what you're doing.
Sure, Steve. So I've been practicing 33 years now, and I went to the University of Florida and went to Florida State undergrad. So I diversified my portfolio of education, but my real education came when I was working as an assistant state attorney here in Hillsborough County. And then I eventually worked for the Attorney General's office and prosecuted there. And honestly, probably got what I'd call an Atticus bug early on, but had no clue what it was. And it was just a bug to do something different, not be hanging out at the state offices talking about when my pension was going to invest in 5 more years. And I just basically hung a shingle, did everything by myself for quite a while, and then eventually started to diversify my practice. Of course, at first it was all criminal because I knew that from my criminal prosecution practice that I did for the state. And I started learning how to do other kinds of cases like PIP litigation that I took from other successful lawyers that didn't want to do it anymore. And then I started realizing they were making real money in personal injury. And then I started listening to my criminal clients for opportunities to do a personal injury case that might be in their wheelhouse of relationships. And as I went through that, uh, I really just started enjoying the personal injury and the diversity. And I realized I needed staff. I added staff, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And I heard about this Atticus stuff all along, and I kept sort of pushing it off. And it was really late in my career when I did Atticus, but by then I'd added probably one of my most interesting practice areas, which is civil rights litigation. And frankly, I just grew that off of going to a CLE at Georgetown to visit a good best friend from law school. And after 2 days of hearing about the Constitution, the Fourth Amendment, police misconduct, I was like, I'm doing that. And it fit well because I knew a lot of my criminal defense friends had leftovers from great outcomes. Hey, this guy got falsely arrested. I told him, hey, just be glad that we beat your case. Or they served an illegal warrant at this guy's house and there was no real remedy except suppression. And I started saying, no, there can be more to this. Excessive force was something that people didn't know how to reconcile. And I started asking my friends, hey, send me these cases. I want to work them. And it's really a pleasure and an honor to be one of the few people in my community that does civil rights litigation the way we do. And I've worked my team up to do that. We have a chief of the civil rights division in my firm, and that's what she specializes in. We have a personal injury unit, and then we have a criminal unit. And along the way, I got board certified in criminal trial law.
That is a lot of law, buddy. That is a lot of work. So let me ask you this question. What would a great civil rights case look like to you? If I said, Michael, I got this case and it looks like this, what would that look like to you?
It would be what we call somebody with clean hands, meaning that they didn't have an extensive record, although I represent plenty of people that do. Somebody that has a real injury and that is ready to do something about it and be patient. One of the things that we really have to work on in civil rights cases is setting reasonable expectations. And we try to do that at the beginning because there are a lot of people that have an injustice that they've truly suffered. But based on my experience and having lost a lot of cases, I'll tell you straight, you lose a lot in civil rights because the law is written for the police, sovereign immunity, qualified immunity, the case law is all in their favor. And so I have to set a reasonable expectation. And if they're willing to abide by that and still want to seek the justice and do the journey, then they're a great client.
What's a real injury?
Well, things like a police dog severely injured the person's leg. We've done a lot of wrongful death shootings, and we've done a lot of tasing cases. Also, there can be serious psychological injuries. We also have done a lot of medical indifference, which is a lot like personal injury, but even more challenging because they have to basically completely disregard the medical need, and you have to prove objective and subjective intent on the part of the actors. So those are real challenges, but we've done some really good medical indifference. And for me, in my heart, to be honest, Steve, one of the most important things is if there's a case and an opportunity for agency change, that's a big deal. And we've been able to get agencies to change their policies and practices because of the effects of the lawsuit. And that is great. As I like to say, I would really, truly, it would be an honor to be out of the civil rights business because that means our agencies are doing what they're supposed to do.
So for you, it's also a catalytic change. So you're like, this case allows me to influence policy change or cause change inside an agency.
Yes.
That would be a great case for you. So it's somebody who's in the wrong place with clean hands, who's got a significant injury, physical injury, not like their feelings were hurt or they were insulted. It's like they actually have physical damages. And then consequently, those physical damages have left them with medical bills, some form of injury. And then you have, obviously a violation of civil rights, and that would be a great case for you.
That's right.
Do you take cases throughout Florida, throughout the U.S.? Where do you take cases?
Predominantly throughout Florida, but we've done cases all around. I file all my cases in federal court because I find that I get the fairest audience. Sometimes if you're going against a very local agency, it would be difficult to be in the state courthouse against them. And I probably have 20, 25 agencies in some form of claim right now, be it sheriff's office, police offices, small municipal agencies. We also have things against the highway patrol. We've taken on federal Tort Claim Act cases, if it's right, and Bivens claims, that's against federal officials. So we're interested in trying to remedy the harms, and we get a lot of calls, and we do screen them intensely because, as I like to say, I've married a lot of bad brides over the years, and I like to improve and have really improved our screening techniques. And one way I've done is we actually charge now to review the files, which is a little different than PI. And that gets a little skin in the game, which I think is important because it's easy for people to not really relate to how challenging it's going to be. And then there are a number of our clients that have engaged us on an hourly rate because we've explained that we think most likely they're going to lose, and they think it's important enough to bring the police to the courtroom as defendants so that they're willing to pay hourly. And on one or two occasions, I'm pleased to say that we've been wrong, and they were actually able to get settlements after our hourly representation, not just litigation with a dismissal on some sort of summary judgment.
That's great. That's really great. So it's intake for you becomes very similar to, I've done a lot of coaching with med mal lawyers, trial lawyers that do medical malpractice. And the intake process for them is hyper focused. For you, it's very similar. We have to be hyper focused. We have to make sure it's the right case, right time, right client with the right damages. So before we get into the marketing scorecard, what brought you to Atticus? Like what was it? You went to a workshop? What was your intro to Atticus?
I'd heard a lot about it. There was good marketing going on, and I'd heard some folks in my community were doing it. And I just got intrigued. Back in the early 2000s, I went to Jerry Spence's Trial Lawyers College out in Wyoming, and I'd gone to several grad courses. And I really enjoyed the camaraderie of building relationships with lawyers that just not in my immediate local community. And so I felt like Atticus would be a good chance to do that. And so that was part of it. And then also, you know, like we hear so often, we were taught how to do the law, but not how to run the practice. And I felt like that was the missing link for me is I could really have a robust practice if I figured out some of the business angles uh, versus just all the legal angles.
That makes sense. I mean, you have an extremely strong trial pedigree. And going to Jerry Spence's trial college, that in itself is another strong trial pedigree. In your case, you're like, I need the help on the business side. I don't need to be a better trial lawyer. I need to be a better businessman, I guess, in this case. What was the first intro? Did you do one-on-one coaching, group program, workshop? What did you do?
Group program with Mark Metzger was
Oh, God help you. You went to a Metzger program and you
a
stayed with us?
Metzger, and we did it online through COVID. And I really enjoyed it. I like the monthly intensity of it. I like Mark's, relentless teaching style. And I'm a big note taker. There's not many meetings I go to where I don't end up with pages of notes. So Mark was good for my notes, and I just really enjoyed it. And then when some of the class structures changed after COVID, I joined a group that meets quarterly, and I've really enjoyed that. And I'm under Glenn Finch now, and he's also been an excellent instructor. And I've actually hired him for private coaching, which just really complements everything and gets the repetition in, and also gets the novelty of what's good for my practice versus maybe some of the general group things.
Yeah, Metzger is fantastic. I was joking because he and I are good friends. And of course, Finch and I are great friends. But you have two fantastic coaches there. So the primary reason I brought you on the podcast or on the show is to talk a little bit about something that you've been using your practice, which goes to marketing, which is something you call the marketing scorecard. Could you talk a little bit about what that was and how that works and kind of your thinking behind it?
Absolutely. I think it's good to start off with what sort of is the genesis of how it even got created in the first place. So, one thing that I cannot emphasize enough to anyone who cares what I have to say is that getting a good executive assistant is such a key to running a better practice because I have so many projects in my mind that are, I think, decent ideas. And I put them on pen to paper, and then they just die in a stack on my desk. And so, what I've been able to do is get my executive assistant to run with some of these, and that's the marketing scorecard. And the idea, I think, Steve, behind the marketing scorecard is to sort of I like take the totality of the energy that Atticus is building, which they're emphasizing do marketing, involve your team, be a leader, but also let your team lead itself and have an organic sense to it through how it collaborates best, not just through your instruction. And so for me, a marketing scorecard I noticed that I was sort of the conduit for almost every case in our office. And I was kind of becoming a little frustrated with that, not because people weren't trying and their heads are down, they're working hard, but I'm like, everyone has to understand as we grow, and we have 7 people at the firm, there's not a case tree in the backyard that I go pluck when we need revenue and it just comes in. And I
Wait a
felt
minute.
like
Wait a minute.
it
Wait a minute.
was
Wait a
it.
minute. Hold on. I have to recover from the great case tree thing. So, so sorry. It was cracked me up because sometimes they do think there's a case tree, right? The money, the cases are in the tree in the back of the firm. Go ahead. I'm sorry, bud. Just
Well,
tickled me.
and that's somewhat how I felt like I was doing. I mean, I'm constantly looking for opportunities, but I felt like the structure was lacking. And I felt like the team needed some structure. All my cheerleading could only go so far at team meetings, and then they needed a tool. So the marketing scorecard was trying to harness their personalities, their energy into something that would motivate them. And I feel like, listening to other people's ideas about, well, we have, a taco truck out for the best marketing teams every quarter, or they get to go on a shopping spree, or whatever ideas there were. I felt like I wanted to consolidate that into this scorecard where I would create some energy and people could shine as bright as they wanted to by performing. There weren't no limits. So the marketing scorecard is really 3 sheets of paper that describe activities that we decided had certain values and that we decided would benefit overall our marketing. And for example, so everything has points. And the way it works, Steve, is if you get 50 points, however long it takes you, you get a $75 gift card. And so it's monetized, but the activities, you could do 51 pointers. It's not segmented. You could do a bunch of 4 pointers and a few 1 pointers. It's up to you. And the different activities are designed to speak to people's skill set of what they can market well at. So some of the quieter people, you can get a point for wearing, we call it MPM, Michael Maddux, MPM apparel to a marketing or business event. And everybody has polos and different things that they wear. And so that's 1 point. Email an old client, that's 1 point. Just connecting with them, because let's face the facts, everything Atticus teaches is one of your best places to market is your existing clients and past clients, because they appreciate the quality of service you've provided and they've experienced, a working relationship with you. I find that all the old clients I contact really enjoy being checked on. So, hey, how's it going? And, we have some not necessarily direct business, but for example, if we have a client who's still on probation and we call them and it's the halfway point, that could generate, hey, well, why don't you file that motion for me? I was thinking about calling you anyway. And we can get some work as well as check on their well-being. The point structure is the beautiful thing about it is you can pick the activities for your firm that you want, and you can put whatever points you want on it. Recently, we had a lot of fun. One of my people said to me, we had gotten ready with Atticus early holiday marketing, and we started working on a unique gift where every person got to pick one gift that sort of was like their legal personality. So we had a cool marketing pen. My Cubans picked, the Cafe Bustela, a little flute of it. And it wasn't an expensive gift, but it was a thoughtful, touching gift that revealed my staff's personality. They loved it. And so they got assigned to go out and deliver these gifts to the different medical providers and other clients and lawyers that we get referrals from. So I loved it at a team meeting, Steve, and one of them said, well, I'm going to use AI to come up with my map of what's the quickest way to drive everywhere, the 5 people. They did that, made the deliveries, and they said, hey, do you think we could get points for doing this? And I said, yes, if you go out on assignment on one day and do your deliveries, it's 10 points on your marketing scorecard. And they love that because there were no points for doing that. It was just part of your job. So I think creating these creative moments where the staff can see a marketing opportunity And I love that they came to me with that idea. Hey, could you put some points on there for those deliveries we're doing? I'm like, sure, why not? And the special thing about a marketing scorecard is that you may have, for example, folks on your team that are just so reserved, you don't think they could ever market. And I just think that's not true. So I have a few people that would rather hide in their office and do their work. So what have I done with them? We have something we call vignettes, and they're little stories of the law or practice that are about a paragraph or two. It can be about anything, and that's on our webpage. And so it could be a new law that you're interested in that just got passed. And so one of my quieter attorneys writes vignettes for the website all the time on stuff he sees. Now, he doesn't have to go out and meet somebody, but it's good for the firm because it keeps our website robust with content and up-to-date information. And he's not challenged to go out and start shaking hands at some, bar party, which he would not want to do. So I think that's great. Then we have other folks in my team that are just out there all the time wanting to be a part of every party they can get to. And they get to have events on the different things. So, for example, my paralegal, Shayla, if you look at under the Working Genius profiles, she's a galvanizer. Okay. And as a galvanizer, she's into rallying and motivating people around projects, ideas, initiatives. She loves to go out to lunch, and marketing lunches have points. And she is probably the most prolific $75 gift card winner on my staff. And there's a running joke that she's maybe going to get more $75 gift cards than W-2 wages if she doesn't slow down. And I mean, it's that good. She turns them in relentlessly and she loves it. And the nice thing, Steve, is that for the folks who can't see it, but this is on their desk. Okay. And so there's a quadrant of the different points. Each point level has a quadrant, and then they just mark it. And as they do it, and when they get to 50, they come bring it to my executive assistant. She's got a stack of $75 cards, and they get their card. I get to review and see. Carrie, my personal injury and criminal paralegal, she got 4 points on one. She did a paralegal luncheon because she's a Florida certified paralegal, and she wore her NPM sweater to the luncheon. So they're really thinking about how they're going to dress. They put things on social media that gets them points. They go to different marketing lunches. And what I love too, and I put a high value on it, 3 points, is shared your laser speech with someone. And they are practicing their laser speech and getting 3 points for that and having fun. And what's been really great, Steve, is like the places they've delivered laser speeches. There is no doubt they have exercised the laser speech into places they would not normally. One of my paralegals, hey, I went out, I got a drink on Friday, gave my laser speech to the 3 bartenders. And you think that's just great because I don't know what's going to come from that. It could be an interesting accident case. It could be a DUI case. And he is pressing the cards into the palms of the bartenders and telling the story of his laser speech and honing his skills. And for me, that's a good thing. My laser speech that I've sort of come up with, to be frank, is I say, you want to know me, but never need me. If you need me, you've been injured, arrested, or the cops beat you up. And people are like, whoa, you're right. I don't want to need you, but I'll take your card. My friends might need you.
Yeah, I won't need you, but my friends that I hang out with definitely will need you. So they need to know me to know you.
Exactly.
So for people on YouTube, they'll be able to see this, but for people that are not there, you basically have, just imagine just one piece of paper and it's broken into 4 quadrants. And the upper left-hand corner of the 4 quadrants are the number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So I have 4 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4. So upper left-hand corner is 1, upper right-hand corner is quadrant 2, bottom left is quadrant 3, bottom left is quadrant 4. So pretend I'm a new employee. Explain to me how this works. I'm looking at my 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got the piece of paper in front of me. Tell me how I get my $75 gift card.
I explain that this is your quick ticket to your first pay raise, and it's all marketing based. And you will use the second page, which is a place where you log your activities. And there's also an activity page that describes what the different points are. And again, the key thing is there's no script. Anybody can use what I've written, but you can make your own points. If there are things that you do that you know will generate revenue or visits to your website or contacts that are meaningful, you list those here. You decide what the point system is worth. It could be $50. It could be $100. You can do whatever you want. And the personalization to your firm and style is the key thing. I think if your firm's big enough, you could break it down and maybe even have different scorecards for different sections of the firm, depending on the kind and nature of work that they do. So what it does, it gets your team to stretch itself and to have fun doing it versus looking at, oh, why is he always talking about marketing every team meeting? We don't even know what we're supposed to do. And isn't that his job?
Yeah, exactly. So what you've done is you've trained your team on how to take action. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 as far as the score. So people are listening. So you have the second sheet, which basically has some track their points, write it out. And then the activities equal points, and some are worth more than others. So let's do what's a 1, 2, 3, and 4. Does that work for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's a 1?
We talked about wearing firm apparel, emailing an old client, or basically send the team an event invite, meaning you're trying to promote internal collaboration. And even though that might not seem like marketing, just being in touch with your fellow team members is considered something worth a point.
So actually the cross marketing for team is actually brilliant, because some of the large firms that we worked with, when I say large firms, you're a niche solo. Some of the firms that we work with, where they may have 10, 20, 30 partners and 30 or 40 staff, they don't understand the power of cross marketing internally. Some of the larger firms we've worked with have no idea what one partner at the end of the hall does and how to give referrals internally. So what you're teaching your team to do, the very basic, is to communicate with each other about internal marketing activities. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, and to create actually maybe social events that they can go to.
Perfect. Okay, now let's go to 2 points.
Remember, 1 point is just emailing an old client. I believe that the personal contact is better. So 2 points is calling an old client and connecting with them literally on the phone, or making a referral directly to me through someone. So say, for example, hey, I told them to call you about this particular matter. And so I can try to breathe some life into a situation. Or I love this one where they're like, hey, you might want to put up your logo sign at the kids' volleyball games. It's, $500 to do that at my daughter's high school. That I like because it keeps me in tune with some organic opportunities that are meaningful to my staff. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily just be their kid stuff. It can be something external that they've seen. But I have found some great philanthropic opportunities that way. I have found supporting some great sporting events. I think, all of us have either been involved at some point with maybe our own kids, t-ball leagues or something. But now you're looking at your staff's children and the opportunities that their school and their geography bring to your firm. The next one is the one we talked about earlier, writing a vignette for the website. So, and I think these can be really fun. A lot of my vignettes are about little battles that I have. I just come back hot from court and I just try to put it generic. What happened? Maybe, I didn't realize the Fourth Amendment was going to create this issue, or I'll write it from check out the latest excuse law enforcement is using to justify this improper activity. So I can make it more interesting than just a legal point. And I've encouraged everyone to do that. There's been a lot of issues about the open carry of firearms. I've presented to paralegal societies on that. So sometimes those nuanced points, people are kind of, hey, can I just carry my gun anywhere? And we might write a little piece about that because it's interesting to the public. Then
This, for those of you that are following along from an audience perspective, with Michael's permission, we're going to give you a link to the scorecard so you can download it. But one of the things you're doing brilliantly with the vignette is content marketing. And I am trying to push and encourage a lot of our members to understand how to use content marketing. For the vignette is a simple, great way of creating fresh content for your website. So well done with that. I really like it.
Thank you. And it's been fun. And sometimes I'm surprised. And then, hey, some people can use AI to write it and finish it up, and they'll be achieving the goal that I have is start using your AI. So it can be a win-win how they generate that.
One of the challenges that you have in growing your practice, trying to make more money, trying to have a great life, is how do you stay focused and not frantic? It's a big challenge. So for a moment, I just want to talk to you about one of the tools that we recommend. It's transformative for anyone that adopts it and uses it. And it's called the My Great Life Focus. Now, for some of us, we might call it the My Great Life Planner, but it's not just for anyone. It is designed specifically by lawyers for lawyers. It's really a strategic focusing tool to help you take control of your time and focus, and helps you focus on what matters most to you, your great practice and your great life. This is how it works. Inside of this is a focusing concept that helps you stay focused on the most important goals for you. It actually coaches you on things like prompts and questions, and it gives you an actionable plan how to achieve it. The goal here is for you to produce high impact results, not another ever-ending to-do list. You have to-do lists in your task management in your CRMs. You have to-do lists being flung at you. Really what you're trying to do is get focused and decide what are the most important things to you. And this tool is designed to help you gain better control over your time and focus, strike the balance between your work and personal life, help you elevate your marketing, help you build a more focused team and improve your strategic delegation. It helps you boost your cash flow and profitability while creating the life you enjoy. If you look and you're a user of the My Great Life Focus, you know every week you get to do the cash flow focuser. Some of you are like going, oh my God, it's a paper planner. Yeah, it's paper. And there's a reason for it being paper, because I want you to step away from the screens. I want you to take a moment to make good decisions and decide what does a great week, a great day look like to you. So you can get the planner. I'm going to put a link in the show notes. You can get a subscription. If you're a member, it's included. So take advantage of the member. And if you start a subscription, I'm just going to tell you, it will change your life. I've been using it for 20 years, and I just could not imagine my life without this particular tool. With that, I'm going to encourage you to get started building that great practice and great life by using the most foundational transformative tool, which is the My Great Life Focus. Now, Michael, people can download the scorecard, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I'm not going to go through each element. But if you could give me an example off of how I could get 3 points and how I could get 4 points. So if you could pick out 2 of your favorites off of that, because people can download the scorecard and look at it. But I just want to get people to understand, hey, if I do these activities on point 1s, I can get up a 1 point. If I do these activities on 2, I can get 2 points. What's a 3 and 4? Give me one off of a 3 and give me one off of a 4, please.
Sure. Great. One of my favorite all-time ones is at 3 points. Send a handwritten thank you note. This is a chance to show gratefulness to strangers and to people that have improved your legal life. I oftentimes will send a JA who just did a great job of getting something coordinated, or I love to send my court reporters a note of thanks if it was a particularly long depo. And I just don't think they get the gratitude. And I think that makes you stand out. It's such an easy win-win. I love win-win. That's like low-hanging fruit right there, to acknowledge someone's kindness and skill set with a handwritten.
Well, let's explain to everybody what a JA is real quick.
Sure. That's the judicial assistant and person that encounters lawyers and people wanting stuff from them all day long in terms of the schedule, or has to explain stuff to lawyers that they probably believe that the lawyer should know already. So acts of kindness from judicial assistants definitely merit a note to acknowledge that we know how busy they are and that we appreciate them helping us get through a coordination issue and get in front of the judge. And that is, I've heard about those notes at subsequent lunches where I just run into folks and they're like, I loved your note.
It's it's brilliant, by the way, because a happy judicial assistant who knows you by name and thinks that you're a good person will grease the wheels of justice better than any judge ever could. And so that's been my experience as well. So that's a simple and brilliant technique. Talk to me about a 4-point. What would I have to do to get 4 points?
A classic maneuver that all of us appreciate: obtained a 5-star review. And that should really probably be worth 5 points, Steve. But the follow up that's necessary to get that done can be substantial at times. Clients can be weird. They might love you, tell you that you did a great job, and then you almost have to hunt them to get the 5-star done. But it's worth being on the high end of the point scale because those are so valuable. And when they're organically generated through a contact with, say, your paralegal who followed up and sent the closing letter and then did the phone call to say, we'd really love it if you could file a review. And I'll be frank with you, this may be my own proclivity, Steve, but I don't tell them to give me 5 stars. I tell them to write an honest review. And when they write it, and it's generally 5 stars, I don't think anyone's really ever zinged me for writing honesty. And all I can say is that when the staff is able to get one of those, it's worth a lot.
I wonder if that's what I have to do to get 5-star reviews for our episodes. I don't have to think about that. How can I get more 5-star reviews for our podcast? I don't know, Michael. I got to think about this. I may have to have your advice on marketing. So I want everybody to think about it for a moment, from not how to get me 5-star reviews, but looking at this marketing scorecard. I'm going to review it. All right. So I could come in on this morning or tomorrow morning, and I can, let me try that again. 3, 2, 1. So I can come in, Michael, tomorrow morning and email an old client. Then I can pick up the old phone and then call an old client. And right there, I get 1 point, then 2 points for calling an old client. Then that afternoon, I can send a thank you note, handwritten thank you note to a judicial assistant or an old client or a referral source or a past client. And then at the end of the day, I can get a 5-star review. I could follow up and get a 5-star review. So I get 1 point, 2 points, so 3, another 3.6, and I get 10 points. So in the end of the day, I've got a 10-point day. Now, what's brilliant about this is that you're conditioning your team to create habits and look for ways to market. How many total points do I have to get before I earn a $75 gift certificate?
50.
50. So if I do that all week, if I just come in and do a 10-point day, at the end of the week, I turn in my scorecard and I get a $75 gift certificate.
Correct. You get a gift card and it's provided by the executive assistant. And then I get to review your card and give you kudos for the hard work you're doing. And they can get started the same day they get a gift card. There's no limitation on how many cards that they can get.
So there's no restriction. How many cards do you think you've given out?
At this point, probably 15 to 20.
15 to 20. So that's good. That's very good. So they can, I totally get it now, how somebody might get more in gift cards than they get with their W-2 if they really are intentional about this. What difference has this made to your firm?
A lot. What I wanted to explain is about what I'd call looping. As a trial lawyer, when you're picking a jury, you try to loop concepts amongst the jury and let them sort of self-activate the insights that are going to talk about their backgrounds, right? So that you can know whether you want them on your jury through their own free speech, not like putting words in their mouth. This is the same effect. The marketing scorecard is a looping device because at every weekly staff meeting, one of the required reporting things is what was your greatest marketing activity. So now they have their marketing scorecard to go look at, and they're sharing with everyone else good ideas. Oh, that was, and I've had some brilliant people do some brilliant things. And when they did it, everybody's like, oh, I want to do that. Or you're right, that was a great meeting. And so now the energy and the effervescence, I'll call it, of marketing is present at the team meeting, and people are enjoying it. They're getting financially rewarded. Plus, they're getting kudos like, oh, that was a great move. I'll have to try that.
So you basically have taken your whole team and made them advocates for the firm through the scorecard. And you've given them examples of how to win in the scorecard. And they're out there trying to figure out ways of market and share and connect. And you've created a game among them. So they have a game, a way to connect with each other, support, cheerlead, and encourage each other. And at the end of the day, it's all about bringing in new clients to the firm or new relationships to the firm. I love it. Was there a difficult time getting the team to buy into this?
Maybe, but not really. And the reason why I say is my galvanizer jumped on it so intently. And then I would just share all the cards that she was getting, and people started to say, this really is something we need to pay attention.
And that's Shayla, your
Yes.
galvanizer? So Shayla basically led the charge. So Shayla looked at this and said, I can do math. This is not too hard. And she took off and galvanized, as a galvanizer would, and start to lead the charge and start to win. And everybody else start to go, that's not so hard. That doesn't look too difficult, and start to see her get cards. And then they start to follow her lead, basically. So one leader, everybody got behind and started to follow their lead, basically.
That's exactly right. And what was so neat is that she's kind of ideally situated to be that person by personality and by the function of being the personal injury paralegal. So she's constantly in connection with medical providers just by virtue of her daily job. But she has modeled it to other people that have a little bit less contact with ideal marketing opportunities. And those people have become equally as creative. If their volume is not as great, they've still been as creative. My criminal paralegal is going to marketing events with her now, and they're a great team. And so we can cross market on our personal injury meetings about being criminal defense lawyers. One of the funnest things I ever do every now and then, Steve, is I will help my personal injury friends represent their clients that have a criminal case that needs to get resolved so they can get the full value. And I actually get to take a letter of protection on their personal injury case for my criminal defense work that adds value to their PI case. And I'm not a threat, I'm a help.
I think you just developed a whole new niche. So any PI lawyer in the state of Florida should have you on their speed dial. Like, okay, I got this case. It's a good case. My client did the stupid thing. And Michael, can you help me get this cleaned up and resolved? And you take a lever of protection in lieu of a fee up front. That is like huge. I mean, I think you got a whole new niche to market right there. That might be a five-pointer right there to figure out how to land a new PI lawyer as a referral source. When you look at this, I mean, it's pretty simple. While it sounds complex, when you look at the scorecard, you look at the scores, you see the tracking, it's pretty straightforward and simple. The big question a lot of people are wondering, have you gotten new business from it? Has it made you any money?
I would say absolutely. And let me give you a few metrics, because what you measure, you can change. And last year, we were really determined to grow our personal injury portfolio. And we made a real charge at the end of the year from November to December. And we wanted to have over 100 cases. And we were at about 80. We got to over 100 in the last 2 months. And as we sit here now, Steve, at the end of this year, we are at 180 and hopefully closing 200. And it's the same staff level.
Got it. So what you basically have done is doubled your plaintiff's cases, your PI cases, inside of a 12 to 24 month period.
Correct. And this year, we had 100,000 more in criminal defense revenue than last year.
All right. So I think that's good metrics. I think we've increased one department by 100 grand. We've doubled our PI cases. Our costs are the same. And we've done that without any significant increase in advertising. Is that a fair statement?
It is.
Yeah, I think you more than earned back $20, $75 cards. If I'm doing my math right, I think that was a great investment on your part. Really great investment. More importantly, let's talk about how it shifted the mindset of the team. I mean, to me, I think that might be the the biggest win.
It really has. Everyone's grabbed onto it. People are having fun. You said the word gamify earlier, and we have gamified it. People enjoy games. People enjoy being in charge of their own destiny, Steve. And you could do as much as you want to. If you're exhausted and don't feel up to the marketing, then you kind of take a break, maybe get 1 or 2 points. If it's not really your style, then you don't have to be obsessed with it. And I'm not judging my staff for how many cards they turn in. I will talk to anyone who's not participating. I don't have any non-participants right now, so that's a beautiful thing. There's certainly levels of participation. And one of the nice things about it, going back to what I originally said, is you can customize it. Like, there's one 4-pointer that I wanted to explain real quickly to the audience. It says, planned a segment for reaching for the top. Okay. That's like Greek to somebody that doesn't know that, but I want to unpack that real quick, Steve. Reaching for the top is what we've internally named training on Atticus style concepts. So, for example, we had today on the team meeting, I asked one of my paralegals to go through with AI and analyze our phone call data for the last 11 months from our phone call service. And this year we had 130 more calls in November than last year.
Wow.
And wow. So this stuff is working. And the reason that I mentioned him analyzing that is he had to drill into it. He had to look for patterns. He had to say what we're going to expect in the future based on the patterns. And that is really a system analysis. It's an interruption to his paralegal duties, but it's a Stephen Covey quadrant 2 all the way, right? And so when he does that, he is presenting within the realm of what we call reaching for the top, which is things that improve our firm at those core system levels. And that's a 4-pointer on the marketing card, because even though it's not outside the firm, it's empowering the people in the firm to be better assets to the firm. And in my opinion, that is a marketing event.
And I love the way you're looking for ways of marketing and using AI to do things more cost effectively, which I really appreciate. If you were to give advice for a lawyer on starting their own marketing scorecard, what would you tell them to do? How would you tell them to start?
I would ask them to grab these forms, then tell everyone at the firm what the dream and the goal is of getting them motivated, and then have them write up the lists of what they think would be fun marketing. And now you've covered everybody's personality, and then add your own that you see that might have been missed. And now you have, basically, it's a menu that complements every taste in the office. And have fun. Like, I have fun trying to dream of ways to give people points. Like, this is not a chore. This is, and like, as I'm looking through it for you today, I might tweak it a little bit just because I've really studied it to try to prepare for you, Steve. And so there's some fun new things that maybe we could put on there to encourage your team to adventure out and to have fun. This stuff, that's the coolest thing about it, Steve. This is fun. This is like not really work. And to me, it's work to call a digital advertising company and try to figure out the metrics of whether they're going to be able to help me, and if I'm going to do a pay-per-click campaign, and then I'm going to be mad if I spend $50,000 and I didn't get any more. This stuff generates goodwill. Goodwill generates business. And can I quantify everything? No, but I just gave you some metrics, and those, I think, are about the marketing things that we've been doing, and it's coming out in the metrics. Can I, give you the seed that sparked each one of them? No, but to me, good marketing is about the fullness of life, right? The fullness of life has ups and downs. Sometimes you're going to go market somebody and you're like, that was a big fail. Sometimes you're going to go out and you're going to get some points and you're going to be like, wow, there's going to be a lot more coming from that. I mean, one of the things on here is send a follow-up email to a new business connection. That's a 2-pointer. That's so valuable though. Like, one of the things that people don't think about is you can market your vendors. You can reverse market vendors. They're not just their annoyances. I always come down to talk to vendors, whether I need their stuff or not. They made the time to come in my shop. if they think there's nice, kind, good-willed people there, whether I buy their product or not, they like me, and maybe we can do business in the future.
It's fantastic. Really well done. Really, really well done. There's so much fun here. What I love about this the most is that you took a challenge, a frustration, and you transformed it into a fun activity that engages the whole firm and has really been a powerful, powerful way of thinking, like it's a powerful strategy. And it's so simple. It's simple and powerful. Well done, Michael. Really well done. I don't know who's going to take credit for it, Mark Metzger or Glenn Finch, but one of them are going to take credit for this. And ultimately, you're the one who came up with it. So, really well done. I hope that people are listening to this can appreciate that this is in itself a simple strategy, but it probably took you a while to get it to where it was at. How long did it kind of get you to get a good rhythm going with it?
I'd say like 3 months.
Yeah, good 3 months. That was my guess. That's probably 90 days, 120 days to just experiment, get the team behind it, get Shayla behind it, get a few people really pushing it. Where do you see this going?
Well, I think it's a fundamental for everyone in the office, and that soliciting them every now and then to freshen up the chart. I like I said, I love that they added the 10 point for the holiday deliveries, and I think that's the next step is to take that after the new year and say, hey, that was a brilliant idea you all had to tweak the point system. What other moves can we make? And then just routinely reminding them this should be on your desk. This is right along with the brainstormer sheet, because when you see it, you do it. And your next phone call could be a point generating mechanism that you didn't even think about.
All right, I'm trying to recover that you have the brainstormer worksheet on their desk.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, to me, I'm an idea guy, and I love that I can be in a moment and think about, well, if we just did this a little differently, it would have been better. And because I'm just pile driven all day long with the next phone call, the next client, I think at one point, Steve, my Monday got funky when literally there was my 1:30 downstairs, the 2 o'clock for my tenant came in 30 minutes early, and the 1 o'clock showed up at 1:25 because he was running late. And then a marketing rep came into the office, all in my lobby. Okay. And I'm down there, and the 1 o'clock needed a Spanish interpreter. So my paralegals are interpreting in Spanish in the lobby because there's no physical space to put the client. Now, my point in telling all that is because you're like, okay, I need to get a grip on this, right? And the grip comes when I can come back to something like the marketing scorecard, and I can just say, okay, were there any good moments in that? And I can tell you, I did not lose that marketing rep. I thanked him for the bottle of wine he brought over and let him tell me about the two new chiropractors he wants me to meet because he thinks we'd be a good connect. And I did not tell him I was too busy.
The death knell of marketing is saying I'm too busy. Really great work, Michael. Really great work. Michael, you've given us some really great advice. It's a great strategy. It's fantastic. It's simple. It's elegant. It's transformative. There's a lawyer listening to this right now saying, I don't have the time. I just don't have the time to move this marketing scorecard forward. What would you tell them to do to get started?
I would tell them this is a delegation move, because all you're giving is your staff 3 sheets of empowering paper and ordering some gift cards. And the idea works because it gives traction to marketing within your people that may otherwise be lost on how to do it, gives them very specific things that have point references. Then it's all individualized. So this is just get it off your desk. And because remember, it's a who, not how. The who is your people, and you're just giving them 3 sheets of paper. And if they mess it up or they miscount, or you're like, why do you only do one thing 50 times? Who cares? You still get 50 points, and it's still generating in your immediate marketing environment discernible results.
Well, let's spend a moment right there on who cares. Say more about that because that's important.
Well, who cares? Okay, because as lawyers, we all have our personalities that think our way is the best way. And
I'm
then
shocked by this. Our way is the best way. I'm shocked by this piece of information. Shocked.
exactly. And then we try to put our style on other people and then expect they're going to perform the same way. But yet we know they have a different DISC score. They have a different Myers Briggs. They have a different Genius score. And yet we're telling them to do our way. And what we've learned, Steve, through the Atticus training, I feel like I have, is that that's a prescription for burnout, right? When you're forcing people to do things not inherent in their nature, you burn them out. And like the working genius says, you can take a galvanizer and stick them in a different seat, but if you don't bring them back, they're going to leave or do a miserable job because they can only tolerate so much of what is not their ideal suite. Here, you've got such a variety that they're going to go to what works for them. And that's okay. Like they don't have to learn how to do all their weaknesses better to have a good marketing scorecard.
It's a modest investment. And what you're saying is let them run with it. Don't micromanage it. Yeah. Will they count some things that are probably silly scores or probably shouldn't be counted for scores? You can revise the scorecard, you can adjust it, but don't yank too hard on that. If anything, you want to encourage it because really what you're trying to do is pivot the whole culture to be a culture of marketing, a culture of gratitude, a culture of asking clients for referrals, a culture of helping Michael grow the firm without expecting Michael to go out back and shake the case tree, every day. So you're trying to pivot the whole thing. And what I love the most about it is that you're having a good time. Like if you talk about the definition of a great practice, you're going in every day and you're having a lot more fun than what you were before.
I think a great example of the fun, Steve, that I could end with is I'm looking at Carrie's turned in scorecard, and the last one says marketing lunch with Genesis wore firm jacket. Now, why is that so great? Because she's wearing firm apparel to a marketing event. And guess what? This year alone, more than any other year, I have had multiple requests for more apparel. All of my female paralegals, hey, can I get a dress that has the logo on it? Can I get a jacket? It's going to be cold soon. And so I'm ordering more and more marketing apparel because they want to wear it to these events. And I think that's just a natural evolution of, hey, we're having fun. We want to look good in what we wear that has your firm logo. Can you get us some more outfits to wear? 100% I can do that.
I think I can work that into my marketing budget. I think I can do
Absolutely.
that. I think I might be able to do that based on the doubling of my PI cases. I don't know how much you've increased your phone call intake, but you haven't spent a significant amount of money to do that. It's really, really well done. Michael, any last words of advice out there to the audience?
Do this starting in 2025 because it will change your year and it will be fun and it will be so low impact on your own psyche and your own energy level that it'll just feel great that you've had this kind of systemic change in your presence in your community for such a low level of energy to take out of you. I really can't encourage people enough to do it.
Michael, thank you. I know you had a very busy day. You squeezed us in between all the work that you're doing. So thanks. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate how vulnerable you've been with this and how generous you're being. Here's my scorecard. Here's how it works. Here's what I've learned. I mean, it's fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I would like to say one last comment.
Sure,
Honestly,
please.
I think this goes so well with like an abundance mentality. I mean, there are well over 100,000 lawyers in Florida. And if we all collaborate and have joy and work hard together and try to help one another, there is an abundance mentality out there that can, I feel like, be good for all of us. And yeah, it's a competitive business, but we don't have to trample each other in competition. We can enjoy each other. This is about enjoying your colleagues, enjoying people you meet, and telling them what you're doing. And if you're loving what you're doing, that energy is going to be apparent to them and they're going to want to do business.
You nailed one of the core values for me of our community. I always encourage our lawyers to not compete, but collaborate. Don't look at each other as competitors, but as really collaborators. And if you shift your thinking that you're collaborating with other lawyers on really helping clients at the end of the day, you get some great cases out of it, but more importantly, you get some great friends out of it. And those great friends become great referral sources. And for me, I think you nailed it. Having a mindset of abundance, a mindset of gratitude just breaks the stranglehold on you emotionally. And you realize there's so much work out there, so many great cases out there, and so many terrific lawyers that can send you good cases. And you're one of them, by the way. So, Michael, thank you for contribution to the Atticus community. Thank you for what you shared today. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for Atticus and inspiring me, because it's a good, nice, reflective mirror.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for joining this week's episode of Great Practice, Great Life. Please tune in weekly to get the next episode. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, like, and don't hesitate to share it with a friend who you think this episode can help. With that, thanks, and I hope you enjoy next week's episode.